Alright, we brought up some water here to, my calculations are saying 158. I'm right at 160, 158 in that neighborhood. It says we need about 3 gallons. This is a 2-quart pitcher. And this is always a little tricky to pour. 6. That should be 3 gallons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay, so next what we need to do, I put the grain in that ale pail again, bottling bucket. And we're just going to sprinkle it in there. I didn't go over how I have my mash tun set up, but what I got in there instead of a false bottom is a braided tube. And in another video we may explain that. We'll put in a little bit there. Got this mash pedal here for a few bucks at the local homebrew shop. I'm going to stir it up a little bit. Basically what we're going to end up here with is something that smells a lot like cooked cereal. Smells pretty good right now. One of the things we also need to do is add those rice hulls. I didn't add those rice hulls. Good thing I remembered that right now. There's our 8 pounds of wheat and barley mix in there. And this is going to get kind of, wow, we got a pretty thick mash here. Just kind of work this in here. I'm going to actually add some more water to this because this is looking a little thick. I'm going to go a little thicker, or a little thinner in the mash. Not a big deal. Put that in there like that. This looks a lot better now. May have a miscalculation there, but we'll just stir this up a little bit, make sure we don't have any dough balls. I want to go a little thinner on my mash anyway because I have this wheat in here which tends to get a little sticky like glue when you start to remove the sugars from it. It doesn't have a husk, so we'll add those rice husks in there so that we create a good filter for our grain using those husks in the bottom. Like I said, we'll add some rice hulls or rice husks to this here in a little bit. And let's take and throw our thermometer in there and see where we're at in a few minutes. Alright, we're going to add some of these rice hulls. Got about a 1 pound bag here. We're just going to kind of eyeball it here. The rice hulls are an inert ingredient. Again, like I said, they're just there to provide a little extra to make up for what the wheat doesn't have, which is a husk. And this will help filter that mash when it's ready to go. What we're going to do is let this sit for about an hour. What it's going to do, all the starches are going to start to leave the grain, and there's an enzyme in there that's activated at about 150. We should be about in the 145, 147 range. We're going a little lower this time. Let's check our temperature real quick. You see on the thermometer it's got this milky thing on it. It's that stuff, wow, where are we at here? We're at about 130, so we're a little low. We'll let it sit. It'll warm up a little bit. We may add some more water as we go, but we'll give it a few more minutes and see what our temperature's at. Okay, we heated up the water again some more. 160. We added another 2 quarts, and we're right at that 150. So what we're going to do is close this lid up, let this sit for about an hour. While we're doing that, we're going to be heating some more water to sparge with. About 4 gallons is what we're going to need. About 20 minutes 20 minutes till the end of that 1 hour. We'll start getting that water heated up. If we need to, we'll bring it outside onto the propane burner and get it warmed up to around 170 they're calling for. I usually go a little higher. So we're going to let this wait for an hour and start the conversion from the starch to the sugar. Alright, we've let the mash sit for about an hour now. Timer's going to go off here in about a minute or so. We had to add a little bit more water to bring it up into that mid 40 range, upper 40s, 140s I should say. So we've got about 4 gallons of water in there. And what we're going to do now, let's go ahead and do a stir. Probably take this out. We're just going to stir it up a little bit for the last time, and then we're going to Vorloff. What Vorloffing does, I don't know if that's a word, we're going to Vorloff. What it does is it sets the grain bed. So basically what we're going to do is that same pitcher that we used before, we're just going to run some of this liquid, or they call it liquor, into the pitcher. And you can see here we're kind of getting a milky colored liquid coming out of the valve here. And we're running it fairly fast. Probably should be running it a little bit slower, but you know what? That grain bed looks like it's working pretty good. We'll shut that off. We'll pour this in here very carefully, not to create a drill down to the bottom of the bed or disturbing that bed. Here's another trick. Take this little mash paddle, pour the liquid over that flat part of the mash paddle. That kind of spreads that fluid out as you do that Vorloff. We don't want to mix. Okay, we'll take and turn this back on, see what we get. It's running really good. I'm surprised. I was expecting something that was a little slower to move. We're about 4 gallons per, about 2 gallons per, I'm sorry, not 2 gallons, 2 quarts per pound of grain in there. That looks pretty good for the Vorloff. We're just going to shut that off, add this back in, and we're going to start running it off. Alright, now what we're going to do is run this liquid down into the kettle. And basically what we're going to do is just open this up so this begins to run. We're going to do a fairly slow runoff here. Run it right into the kettle that we're going to boil in. I've got about a 7 gallons pot here. We're just going to run that liquid down in there. When this liquid runs off, we're going to add some more water. I've got some water over there heating. It's actually right at the boiling point. Probably a little warmer than it should be, but you know what? I think it'll be just fine for what we're doing.